Hello everyone and welcome back. More Star Ladder Season 12 Europe action here. We're in Phase 2. The second group stage. We're down to 8 teams, well maybe even down to 7 with London Conspiracy suffering 2 losses in their group stage. But we're here over in the other group, Group A. We've got Goomba taking on Scary Faces, and well, this is just game 1 of a best of 3. I'm not alone for today. I'm joined once again by Blaze. Blaze, are you ready for some good old-fashioned CIS Dota, or at least CIS Dota on one side of things?
Oh yeah, should be pretty interesting. I'm not sure how active it's going to be though. Although we usually look at CIS as like this whole slugfest back and forth, kills just popping up everywhere, a total bloodbath in the river. I actually think that these teams play a little bit more passively, kind of look to go towards the mid to late game, try to go for like the big team fight plays or maybe just a really hyper farm carry. And it's going to be a question of really who wants to up the tempo, who wants to make the first move, and if it's going to be a step out of bounds. But for now, the opener here, Scary Face started off with the IO. They're rocking one stand-in, no art style helping them out or anything like that. It is going to be, yeah, an interesting opener. They won't be able to IO Bristle. That's a big combo that a lot of people have been running, but going to be denied here.
They get the Storm Spirit, so here that can benefit a lot from the tether as far as quickly rejuvenating any lost mana that the Storm Spirit maybe uses for an initiation. But for the Goomba side of things, Bristleback, Earthshaker, different kind of approach to the draft from what we saw earlier today in that first best of 3 series, and well, we'll see. And that's kind of had some mixed success here and there. Every now and then they pull off some nice upsets, but for the most part, a team that kind of lacks that consistency that you need to kind of make that breakthrough.
Yeah, so I'm wondering actually how the standings are doing for these two teams. Of course, Goomba, they can take some wins. We have seen Scary Face as well take a couple of clutch wins. So that's obviously moved up their rankings quite a bit here. There's Vega Squadron and Hellraisers. But yeah, overall, I'm just, are these kind of the lower rung or?
Well, this is like the first match from this group, from the second group stage for Star Ladder. So as far as Star Ladder goes, Scary Faces managed to actually advance from their group where they had Hellraisers and Vega Squadron, so 2 pretty tough opponents. As for Goomba, they took out Na'Vi, which was, well, they lost to Na'Vi, but they advanced regardless because of Na'Vi losing to basically unknown. So both teams kind of caused upsets in their groups. Goomba advancing over Na'Vi, Scary Faces advancing over Hellraisers and Vega Squadron. So right now, these 2 teams in the same group as Alliance and Team Secret. So I imagine Alliance and Secret are like, sweet, this group's like as easy as could be. It could have been Na'Vi and Hellraisers or something, but I mean, the fact these teams advance over Na'Vi and Hellraisers does say something about their potential for upset.
Well, at least the opportunity for a confidence booster for one of these 2 teams. I mean, if they're going to have to face off against a Secret or Alliance, then at least they can look back on this best of 3 as something they emerged victorious from. But yeah, we'll have to see. For right now, it's bans from a lot of people who like to get right up in the thick of things. The Batrider was banned out initially, as well as the Axe. But now we see that Night Stalker ban coming in. And of course, this just is something that's really hitting the metagame. People are realizing this guy is tanky, he can tower dive, and he can really set up a lot of kills. On top of all the vision and stuff that we got to talk about in the last best of 3, it's definitely a prime pick, but I'm surprised that people are putting it into the banning phase. Like, I understand why people pick it, but I have to see a few more games before I'm sold on people banning it out.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a bit more time, but yeah, the PL is, a few teams have had great success with it here and there. It seems like great in those mid-game, like if you can get free farm and then fight in the mid-game, kind of like a Troll or a Juggernaut does, he seems fantastic. He just doesn't seem to scale as well to the late game, doesn't really itemize in the same way that a Troll or Jug does in that 6-slotted state, and doesn't quite have the same flash farming potential, but an interesting little hero in other ways. But we'll see. No PL, at least in game 1. Goomba have one more ban. We'll see what they have in mind for this there. Leaving that Tiny in the pool, which is often the Wisp partner, but with the Storm Spirit picked up, I think there is a good chance this is just going to be like a Storm Spirit mid and no what kind of Wisp Tiny coming out.
Sure. So I'm curious what Goomba's going to be following up their draft with. I'm pretty sure one of their supports is going to be either a Disruptor or a Lion. The Lion Hex mana drain is really good against Storm Spirit, and of course the Glimpse and the Static Storm can be really powerful utilities as well against the IO and the Storm. So I would have to say that one of those 2 is most likely going to be their support pairing, but you never know, they could mix it up with something that's a little bit less prevalent in the metagame. And in either case, they definitely want a core hero that can pick up a mech at a decent timing, because the Bristleback thrives on HP, and they really want to focus on their 5v5. That's what Earthshaker is best at. He obviously can't cover the mech himself, but if they get I don't know, we've seen Vipers hit pretty hard and get involved in the mid matchup versus Storm pretty frequently.
Oh, Vipers, man. I don't want to see no Vipers. What is this?
It's a bit of the Medusa, so I don't know. As far as getting involved, it's something.
Oh. Yeah, we'll see what Goomba have in mind, but it does seem very kind of mid-game centric for them. I think for now, maybe you want to even just consider your other support. The Vengeful Spirit's still in the pool. You've got minus armor to kind of benefit the Bristleback. Good at kind of just stacking camps as well, and then, of course, the Roach taking potential. But the other concern is always, how do you have enough lockdown for a hero like Storm Spirit? Do you want to get something like a Lion with a Hex as far as dealing with a Storm Spirit? Or do you just kind of do what you can as far as coping with the Storm?
Yeah. I think the Disruptor is the best of both worlds, but I could still see the Lion being more involved at the level 1, level 2 mark. Contesting bounty runes against Io is actually pretty important. And, of course, he will be able to just add a little bit more damage. You Echo Slam, you want that slam to mean something, and when you can take a target that's about 30-40% HP and burst them down, then that's certainly going to accomplish that. But here comes that Skywrath, and I definitely think that is another hero that fits the bill. The damage is real from this hero's Mystic Flare, a few Arcane Bolts in the mix, and an Ancient Seal is going to control the Storm Spirit very nicely. Now, you have to worry about pickoffs from Relocates and Blink Initiation and such, but generally speaking, the Skywrath and Earthshaker, with both of them having above 310 base movement speed, they should be able to find a safe haven.
Yep. Pretty neutral response from Scary Faces to get a Witch Doctor, not wanting to reveal more about their draft. Say, look, you guys aren't revealing much with your support pick, we'll get a support as well. Maledict, pretty useful in the kind of, well, for zoning out a Bristleback in that off lane if you want to go that kind of a build, and even the Voodoo Restoration gives you some good AoE heals to maybe negate the AoE damage that the Quill Sprays provides. But we'll see. Scary Faces still have a lot of room to kind of develop this draft with their last 2 core heroes.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I think the Witch Doctor does at least tell Goomba that they're going to be up against a very teamfight-oriented lineup. The thing you need with Witch Doctor is a little bit of control here. Just having an Electric Vortex and a Cask is not going to set up a Death Ward. When you have 4 stuns coming for Earthshaker, a good silence coming in from Skywrath, and 2 other picks potentially on the table, you need something else. I'm thinking Nyx Assassin here, because it really can do a lot of work against quite a few of these heroes, but particularly the Medusa with Mana Burn.
I was talking about this in the pre-game. I said, Blaze, man, I hope you're ready. If you're joining me for this next series, we're going to have 3 60-minute games and at least 1 Medusa game. And here we go. Game 1, Medusa. Let's make it happen. Let's make it rain. This is, well, Goomba, they're going to just kind of secure the early mid-game with the other 4 heroes, but kind of build towards that late-game state with Medusa. Medusa, though, not entirely like a late-game hero. Some teams, I mean, I think it was LGD who kind of introduced the 5-man Medusa Death Ball kind of strategy, where around the 20 to 25 minute mark, Medusa farms a first item Skadi, and then you just take towers. Take every tower on the map. So it doesn't have to be exclusively a late game hero.
Ooh, I was thinking about the Slark earlier, and then I looked at Goomba's draft, and I thought that was the scariest thing to go up against. You got an Earthshaker who can deal with you really well with ground target disables. The Quill Spray damage will keep stacking up, and that's very difficult to deal with. And we've seen Bristleback being pretty good against Slark ganks, because when he gets pounced on, he still keeps his back to the highest damage output target. That combined with the potential Stone Gaze in the fights, the silence that could jump on Slark if he doesn't get a defensive item pickup. I mean, obviously we know what the hero can do. If he gets crazy Essence Shift stacks, every single auto attack burns like 19 mana against the Medusa. It gives him extra damage. It's going to be beneficial as the teamfight progresses, but I don't really feel like Scary Face's lineup is a let's try to fight for 20-30 seconds here. It's more of a jump in, Storm Spirit gets somebody, Witch Doctor drops his ultimate, 3 or 4 seconds to channel that, and the fight's over. If Slark's still hitting people when the dust settles, then I feel like something went wrong with the chain of initiation.
5 seconds.
Yeah, I'm kind of like looking at this like, okay, great. If the fight goes for a long time, Slark does get tons of Essence Shift procs because of the tankiness of a Bristle Medusa. The main thing is whether the Slark can stay alive, and as you said, he's got teammates, initiators like a Storm Spirit who are looking to get that quick pick off and not have an extended fight. That may change depending what the last pick is for Scary Faces. But as far as what that's going to be, I feel like they need something that can kind of sustain them in a more long, drawn-out fight and give them some good control. Something that can be maybe a bit meatier in the front lines. Because right now, Slark wants to be taking as little damage as possible so he can get those Essence Shift procs up. And Storm, well, he's pretty squishy as well.
Yeah. That said, there is the nice aspect of IO's Tether and Overcharge. Overcharge gives Slark everything he needs to be involved early, mid, and late. Giving him attack speed, giving him effective HP by mitigating some of the incoming damage. This makes it so that Slark can just do whatever the heck he wants. He can, as long as he's on target. As long as he can't be kited, which means presumably he has at least an Orb of Venom out of Scotty, then he just stick to somebody and try to get the well-timed Dark Pact to deal with the Earthshaker stuns. If he can shrug off an Aftershock or two, then overall he should still be able to benefit a ton from the Tether overcharge and build up very, very quickly in the fight. But this Magnus, this is pretty much the best offlaner I can imagine in this situation. I mean, you get the Empower on the Medusa. She gets to build pretty heavily into her agility here. And then, of course, you get the clumping and control that Slark hates.
Yeah, this is... I like this last pick. This is just going to give them that kind of team fight that maybe they were kind of lacking in. Hey, if you want to stall the game, good. You've got some good wave clear now to go with the rest of your AoE damage. Just sit in the higher ground, spam that shockwave. So, scary faces now. They've got one pick remaining. Not much reserve time as well to kind of think this one through. I feel like they need a Magnus-type hero. Like maybe a Centaur War Runner for the offlane. Or, when you mentioned the Nyx Assassin, Nyx still seems like a solid pick. They've got two kind of good late gamers in the Storm and the Slark. They don't have to get something which is going to take a lot of farm and scale towards the late game.
There's a couple things I really like about the Nyx. First of all, if he's Vendetta next to somebody, you can set up a gank with a Ball of Lightning or a Relocate. Like, you guarantee that you're going to have the vision to make that play happen. Another thing is, if you get jumped on with the reverse polarity, you get the Spike Carapace off, you're able to stun anybody that's trying to do AoE damage, and they're not really able to get more than just one ability off, which is pretty huge, unless BKBs are there. But they're going to go a different route. They're going to go for the Enigma here. How are the lanes going to break down? Is that an off-lane Enigma?
Looking like an off-lane Enigma. Midnight Pulse, pretty good against these tanky heroes. It is percent-based damage, and as far as ways of dealing with a BKB Black Hole, you're looking at just the Magnus RP. But I imagine Magnus with those jumps is going to be often trying to make sure he catches the Enigma.
I think it's good against the Bristleback. The Magnus, I honestly feel once he dumps his payload, if he's got the Empower up, if he's got the RP and a Shockwave Skewer out, then he doesn't care if he stays in the fight for another 30 seconds or so. And I believe the tankiness of the Medusa is a bit of a misconception. With Scotty, she gets an okay HP pool, but it's not like she's running 2 Hearts of Tarrasque. She's mostly getting her survivability from that mana pool, and that's something they don't have anything to deal with. The Essence Shift essentially burns 13 mana each attack, but that's about it.
I just, it's going to come down to whether they have enough damage. Like, you've got Witch Doctor with an ultimate, Slack over time, but yeah, they haven't got the actual mana burn from any real sources at the moment. But we've seen teams deal with Medusas even without going the mana burn approach, so Medusa not like considered like, oh, if you get Medusa and there's no mana burn, you would straight win the game, so.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
We'll see
I guess it comes down to tempo.
Smoke, by the way.
Yeah, that could be really good. I mean, first Slark is going to be a hard hero to first blood, but if they can get maybe the Witch Doctor, that'd be huge. And then can secure those Banner Runes, which again are very important here. Who do you give the early tempo to? I kind of feel like if you're playing that strat where it's like no mana burn, then at the very least you want to stifle the Medusa's farm. Do you think that's possible with this draft?
Not so much. I like the lanes for Goomba, and while we'll see an early initiation, talk about getting the Witch Doctor. Should be able to get this kill here. They can skewer if they need to. It's going to be a fissure. There's your skewer back. First blood to exist on the Magnus. And now, as you kind of mentioned as well, get the bounty runes. I feel with the support of Skywrath and Urshick, it gives Goomba a really good laning stage. Urshick can get that fissure block on the off-lane creep wave to help get the wave closer to the tower. Skywrath great at zoning. For Scary Faces, their lanes don't really strike me as that strong. Wisp is going to be able to help out the Storm in the mid lane, but it's not like it's a Wisp PA or a Wisp Tiny where there's a lot of kill potential. This is just a Wisp stacking camps more than anything.
Yeah. Cool thing is the Enigma with the Demonic Conversion will be able to kind of play the Lich role in the offlane, where essentially he takes 1/4 of the carrier's farm away. He always denies one of those creeps there, and Roman's not going to be able to just free farm 100%. He's going to be 75% for most waves, and also might have to deal with some skilled micro. I mean, if the Enigma uses the Eidolons well, anytime that it's a 1v1 matchup, he's going to be pretty happy.
This Courier, okay. He is lucky that Courier did not get sniped there. He just ran it right by it. May get sniped on the way back. Does he see him with the Remnant?
He did not see it. Now he sees it. It took a minute, but now he will see it, and it will go the roundabout.
Okay. Alright, so he's going to get the escape there. Wisp is going to have his camps blocked out by Observer, or at least the medium camp blocked out by this. So Scarith won't get the Courier snipe. That was some risky play from the mid Storm Spirit, though, to run the Courier straight down the lane right after he knew the Scarith was there. They're going to go in mid lane, get the slow onto State. He's got a Salvage disposal as Scarith chewing through most of his mana pool with that concussive shot. Not having the Arcane Bolt means he doesn't really offer a whole lot of harass potential in mid lane now.
Yeah, it's true. I'm actually not sure. I guess he's just leeching the fastest way possible and getting to 2 quickly. The overall game plan is to shut down the Storm early, but with the Wisp there, I guess they're kind of on even footing. And he's going to go for another courier play, but they gotta just say, okay, well, he's done this once, he's missing again, we're just gonna send him around the trees.
Well, at the same time, you also say, like, he failed once, will he actually try it again? Not often do you see...
Pretty rare.
Not often do you see someone go for the second attempt at the courier snipe. It's like, okay, if it didn't work the first time, that's it. You give up. But he's gonna be persistent, just sitting on this cliff, hoping something comes his way.
I don't know, I mean, that's like at least 200 gold.
Yeah, no one's close to a bottle. I think he thought the Wisp is rushing it and is going to get it soon, but that is not the case. Wisp is still a good couple hundred away. Storm Spirit, similar story.
So Enigma actually gets to have a little bit of time in the jungle here, killing off the Wild Wing, trying to pull over to the Radiant crease, but that's not going to happen. So yeah, just use the jungle attribute of the Enigma to get a little bit extra farm, since he's not directly contesting the Medusa on the lane for the moment here. Missing Skywrath, but again, only level 1. I don't imagine the Enigma's going to go down.
Yeah, it doesn't seem likely. He's going to throw that concussive shot, but Enigma can just hold his ground. He's got
and the Skywrath has 0 armor, so these Eidolons will just take out like a quarter of his HP.
He's going to throw a stun. Just a level 1 Malefice. Not going to get a kill off of this, and probably a bit of wasted mana with that. Level 1 Malefice being pretty pitiful, but mid lane meanwhile, uh-oh, Storm Spirit in some trouble. He didn't actually get the skewer back. Goomba tried to get a gank on State, but couldn't get the follow-up they needed from a skewer backwards.
Bottom lane, though, it's going to be chill. Caught inside the pounce. We'll go for the TP away, and it will succeed, but the Maledict, the Malefice, sorry.
Level 1, I think? Yeah, he'll be okay with the Fountain regen.
Yeah. And it also works that if you turn your back to the Witch Doctor, that will mitigate it. So he just has to, obviously, he's doing that right now, just facing to the north. That does help him a little bit, though. I think either way, he's okay.
Alright, so we'll see. Scary Faces just look to stabilize things here. They've got Enigma completely abandoning the offlane now to fall back to the jungle, but...
Why is he still so threatened, is my question. Like, they're not actually bringing the Earthshaker up there, and the Skywrath obviously didn't do too much to him.
Skywrath is still level 1. He's not exactly getting the XP you'd hope to get, but I guess he decides the easier farm may be his own jungle, but this is giving Medusa complete free farm when he could be contesting this a bit more. Not to mention the jungle stacks is something that the Storm Spirit was probably hoping to farm himself.
Yeah, Enigma's okay in a double stack environment, but Earthshaker's going to take half the experience, and overall this just seems like an unnecessary movement. But again, if he just is worried about his item timings, that's going to be the best way to make it happen.
Earthshaker even steals a last hit using a fissure from the high ground, so just getting the most out of things here. It feels like Scary Faces just don't really have a plan, or if they had a plan, it's completely changed. Because this Wisp isn't really doing too much, didn't go for the bottle rush, isn't really helping mid. Will rotate back towards bottom lane. It looks like they want to go for a kill and chill, and this time there is a TP, but he's not going to go for it. It looks like he's going to accept his fate, goes down to the Maledict, and he will pick up the Bounty Rune at the bottom lane. So, successful gank this time around on the Bristleback.
Yep, so that's very important, forcing him out so many times. He's going to be sitting at level 3 for a little more here, and as far as building up good defensive items, that's going to take some time. He probably will just go for the Vanguard, but no matter the case, it's going to take a while for him to actually get there and feel confident. Skywrath for a huge flank here. The Shaker is not here. Well, he's on the front line, so he's going to have to go for a direct fisher.
He's just going to go right into the tower and take it up. There's your skewer back. Gets the concussive shot as well. Skywrath will take a few shots, but nice gank there. I don't even know if they needed the Skywrath mage in the end, but... Hey, a gank's a gank, and Storm Spirit goes down right before he hit level 6. That's why Storm Spirit was playing deep into that lane, because he was 1 creep XP from hitting 6.
Exists, showing off that he's already there. He's got his RS Dota going on with the reverse polarity cancels, and yeah, he's looking to obviously find a kill there. I mean, obviously you can hold on to it. It's not like a cooldown bet pre-blink. You have to keep on cooldown and keep active to make your hero worthwhile, but whether he uses it defensively with Storm diving him or...
Storm level 6, by the way. Yeah, that is not going to be a kill, though. He didn't commit to it, and the bottle in between right clicks. State had that kill. He could have bowled even further if he needed to for one last right click, but would have left him out of mana, so there could have been maybe a counter kill on him, but I feel like getting a kill on the Magnus there would have been worth it.
Sure. I definitely agree with that. I mean, Storm's the one that has the experience deprivation. He wants to catch up, and that's the best way to do it, even if Earthshaker does get 1 or 2 levels out of it. But Magnus is right back to the front line here, working on his Blink Dagger, and if he just rushes it here, I mean, we obviously see a lot of Magnus go Arcane Boots, and for good reason, but if he just gets good rune control, he can just sit on the bottle and he'll have his Blink Dagger in only a couple minutes.
State thinks he's safe, but here comes a 2-hero smoke, and a fissure into a Skywrath silence could be his death. Even with this Observer Ward, this is not a safe place for him to be. He's going to walk towards the 2 supports. You see him coming with his Obs Ward, and there we go. They get the silence. Fissure on the wrong side, though. Exist going to try skewer on over. He's got an RP, but...
Oh, he's stuck now.
Yeah, may turn this one around. He goes to the high ground. The 0 armor Skywrath Mage, no chance for him, and exists. He's got an RP, will catch out too, but there's no follow-up. Purely defensive, and Storm, he's got one last slow, one more ball lightning. He gets the kill. There's a haste through. That'll save EDE. Lady Luck favors. But not so brave.
And the Bristleback is going to go down here. It is just going to be the Slark, the Witch Doctor, and the Enigma. Doesn't even need to... He usually, honestly, just went over there and broke down the tree line, so he couldn't juke away. Now looking for Deny on the top. Eidolon's come out and do some decent damage. Might be able to get it. Yeah, she does.
That's a big pickup for Medusa, who's got Phase, Aquila. The one here on RMN, the one here on the Goomba side, RMN, who is doing kind of exceptionally well. The Magnus at mid lane started off okay, but that death there and that kind of failed gank on the Storm Spirit, giving him double kill, really turned things around for the mid lane. And Storm, who now has the farm edge over the Magnus.
So right now, obviously, we're questioning the rotations from SFZ, if they were protecting their mid lane well enough, if they're really accomplishing what they set out to do here. But overall, I mean, the Storm Spirit is at level 8. He's got his Soul Ring up. The Enigma, he's 800 gold past his Soul Ring, so, and level 6. Like, as long as they approach the team fights carefully, know when to go in for the big initiation and when to fall back, I think that they have some real good potential.
And importantly, there's no stacks on the Goomba side. They haven't been stacking Ancients or Bristleback. None of their neutrals have been stacked.
No.
Does feel like...
They're going deep. They are diving this. There's going to be TP response, but they do get the Maledict onto the
he just hit level 6. Level up your Shadow Dance, Quista. He's not going to do so.
And he would have died to the Fisher either way, but yeah, that is an unfortunate dive.
He could have leveled up a lot earlier. They will get the Bristleback in the end with the Maledict. Witch Doctor.
No experience, though. So.
Yeah. Level 5, and it was not quite the initiation Scary Faces were hoping for. A 1-for-2 trade, and the one kill they got, just giving them a bit of cash, not actually giving them any XP.
So, I mean, that's space for the Medusa, space for the Enigma. Obviously, one is a super hard carry that can really benefit from getting 6-slotted. Obviously, the Refresh Orb Black Hole is still pretty scary to deal with, but it's not like getting a few extra minutes to himself is going to get Enigma to that level.
Medusa's got an odd little item. Quelling Blade on Medusa. I don't know the maths on this, but not your everyday Medusa pickup.
I have seen it, but generally it was back when like Furion was most popular, and you'd use it to also get out a Sprout, so you get the extra benefit there.
I've seen it when you'd go Ancients, level 1 Ancients Medusa.
Yeah, that too.
The pub build, but as far as like damage items go, 12% bonus damage on what you're dishing out right now is not very much damage. It's not like what you get out of this item for a melee hero. You get like the same amount of damage from a Wraith Band, basically.
I mean, I don't know if it's really worth talking about it too much, just because it's such a cheap item and he's gonna get rid of it in maybe 10 minutes or so, but it is just his personal choice, and if it gets some the right click damage to nab a few CS, I guess it pays for itself.
Who are we to question his choices and his lifestyle? The accepting of all. Well, for Scary Faces, they're gonna see what their next move's gonna be. The Slark is gonna be going for a Myers. He goes in the bottom lane looking for the kill on Chill, who will be protected by Fissure. One more Quill or two. He may get this Slark. Slark getting incredibly low. Whispers, well, here comes your Enigma. Has a black hole, but Wisp have to stay away. There will be Quills coming soon, and just barely gets the kill on the Bristleback. Magnus was invis, but doesn't want to go any closer.
He's got the Blink Dagger coming out now. Yeah, Courier just now delivered it, looking for the play, but nobody's really
mana for a Skewer. This is actually not that good for Magnus. Maybe goes for a Blink Skewer.
Yeah. I mean, if you knew about the Wisp, he'd be killing him right now, but it looks like it's just going to be a Skewer, Shockwave out, and that is a dead Slark. Oh, he doesn't even Shockwave the Slark.
Yeah.
But it works out.
I was worried for a second. Here comes your Storm Spirit, and with the Skewer on cooldown, there's no way out for Exist. He's going down. Storm Spirit going to ball even further, look for E, turns with a Totem, doesn't have mana for a Fissure, and State gets himself a killing spree. Up to 2k gold all of a sudden. This Storm Spirit looking in prime position to scale well into the late game.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that they focus on him and farm. He's going to actually get some good damage here. Max Overload as well as the Remnants. He's going to clear out it's like a triple stack on the easy camp, which seems like just pocket change, but it's going to get him to his next thing. I presume a Bloodstone, but there's... I mean, what do you think? Is it just going to be straight Bloodstone? There's no real need for a BKB just from the Skywrath alone.
No. Oh, you mean for the Storm Spirit himself? Yeah. Oh, BKB rushes, I think, really question. I think you need either Bloodstone or Orchid just because they're both good farming items, as well as like you get the hero kill potential for them. So we'll probably see Bloodstone based on this game, I think. And then
yeah, I mean, he's holding so much cash. You usually get at least the Oblivion earlier.
I think he'll go just standard Bloodstone Orchid. Doesn't feel like anything else necessary.
Mid. They've got a lot of mana. Exist though with the RP.
They were waiting with a smoke gank. They're going to turn this one around. The Wisp won't have a relocate out. Here comes your Enigma. No Black Hole available. They will get a 1-for-1 trade at least. Make the most out of it, but Magnus was just there, ready to turn that one around. The RP, though, just getting a Wisp, so not too bad for Scary Faces in the end.
Yeah, Santa popping the slow ring. Maybe Storm looks to make a jump play. ED's kind of by himself, but yeah, we are going to see on the courier that he does pick up 2 out of 3 components here. It's just weird to not see the Arcane Boots. Like, you can get the Arcane Boots, disassemble them, and then, of course, you still get the full Bloodstone, but he's just holding on the courier for now, and maybe that, yeah.
Or even just the treads. Like, a lot of Storms will go tread, soaring, and then into the Bloodstone, because you get so much out of the treads with the attack speed and the ability to go in treads, so slight different. I mean, just small nitpicky things. These are not things which are going to, like, decide a game. Maybe Storm misses out like on a kill one time because he has slightly less mana, but just kind of a little small efficiency things.
So for right now, I mean, he's definitely shown what he can do in this game. 5,600 on the net worth, but Medusa's in farm mode. Quelling Blade, Yasha. I mean, this is a hero that's just going to be focusing on how much she can output against the creeps and in a PvE sense. Building up that Scotty has got to be her next course of action. There's no better item for Medusa. It's just so much effective HP. Okay, unless you're going for some clowny, niche, Divine Rapier Rush builds, it's going to be the Scotty.
Yeah. So, for our Scary Faces, happy to slow things down a bit for the time being. Having picked up that Bloodstone and Storm, even just with the Soul Boost, it could offer a lot more. And similarly, you've got your Slack, who's just got his treads back at base with a Midas, so not really that fight ready for them. It's maybe more likely to be Goomba trying to find a pick-off or a smoke gank here or there, especially with Exist having the Blink Dagger online and maybe looking to fight around this Blink RP.
So this core has been sitting here for several minutes now, and I gotta wonder, is there like a mind game aspect of, oh, this Storm doesn't really have many items. We see Boots, Null Tally, Soul Ring on him. We're like, oh, we don't really have to address this threat right now. As opposed to if he's rocking a point booster or a VIP booster instead of the magic stick, and then suddenly you're like, oh, okay, well, this is a problem.
They've got to know that he's... I think he was just leaving it there because he's like, oh, I'm 400 from my Soul Booster. It
was like 800. He's been farming for a while.
Yeah. It's been up there for a long time, so... It seems like he just had this idea of like, okay, I'll just leave it back at base, and now he's going to sell his stick, pick up the Soul Booster, and suddenly, 1300 HP, 1100 mana, he can do a whole lot more. Even pre-Bloodstone, just having the Soul Booster, you've got a big mana pool to work around and try to find some kills off of. Because you're in the mid lane, they have got this dire high ground vision, which is about to expire. But I think Scary Face is okay with the tempo of this game. Yes, Medusa's out farming them, but they're not quite ready to get things going just yet. Enigma even going for a Midas build in the jungle. He's hit level 11 now, has 2k gold on top of that, so probably see, like, it just seems like a standard BKB Blink kind of game for the Enigma, but we'll have to see if he has any other ideas in mind.
Yeah. The one question is how he positions himself when it comes to the Black Hole. If you Black Hole while facing the Medusa, then you're going to have a bad time with that Stone Gaze, BKB or not. So it really comes down to positioning. I've seen Force Staff help out a little bit in that regard. Like, you can force past the Medusa while you're Black Holing, and or an ally can do that for you, more likely. But other than that, yeah, you just have to be very careful about how you... going for the quick blink past, and then get her on the back end of the Black Hole while still casting it forward.
Some Slack now build towards the Shadow Blade, picks up the Amulet, and that's going to probably be the main item timing that Scary Faces are waiting for them to get aggressive. It'll come at a similar time to the Bloodstone of the Storm Spirit, who's currently sitting in bottom lane, level 11. Not going to be going for any kills just yet. Goomba is sitting behind this Bristleback ready with a Fissure and an Ancient Seal, which could set up a kill on stage should he get too aggressive here. He's being pinged out. There's 4 heroes down here. Exist has that Blink Dagger. Gotta be careful.
He's got a lot of HP to choose through, though. 1300, even with the RP, they have to all collaborate and get that silence as well, which we were talking about it in the previous match, but this is a rank 1 Ancient Seal.
And this is a Wisp also showing up in the bottom lane, so there's an overcharge available as well. They're going to catch up the Storm and use the tether. It's on cooldown. Oh, the RP caught both. They bring down the Wisp. I'm not sure what he was tethering a creep for there. Put it on cooldown so he couldn't protect the Storm. Seemed like a bit of a misplay there coming out from Scary Faces, and Goomba capitalized.
Yeah, panic mode, really. Maybe the Wisp was trying to relocate the Storm out and it didn't hit any of the things that he intended to. Whatever the case, they did not expect everybody to be waiting in the wings. They thought, oh, Bristleback's fed 4 kills. He's gone by himself far too forward multiple times this game, and they thought it would be a repeat.
They see Mr. Shadow. No TP out and Exists. Can you throw a Shockwave to start things off? Shadow silenced and should be brought down. There's your skewer back, and another kill goes Goomba's way. They are just punishing Scary Faces left, right, and center, just finding pickoff after pickoff, it feels.
So we're going to see RMN get gone on, and there's going to be the relocate out. Stun will come out. Yeah, he realizes that it's going to be a storm with him, so there's no way to continue that TP. He keeps on the run, but this is a very, very fast Medusa, and I'll tell you why. He went for Sanjin Yasha phase boots.
I saw that. I'm just like, this is a first for me. I'm sure it's probably been done before, but Sanjin Yasha.
I don't know, but I actually want to check out the competitive data.
I mean, it's been picked and played enough. I feel like there's maybe at least one game where there's been a Sanjin Yasha Medusa, but it is not a conventional pickup. I like the play there. Canceling the TP to Stone Gaze, probably saving his life. And we'll see what Scary Faces can do. The relocate gang's not really working out so well so far. Top lane, Storm, Ball Lightning above the tower. He's trying to see what he can find up there, and looks like RMN just happy to tank things up here, though. He's got no support. He's out of mana, and this is looking like a kill. He's going to turn and fight. He wants Quista with the Sanjin Yasha. He's doing some good damage, but there's your ultimate, your Shadow Dance from Quista, and he'll get the kill with the Dark Pack. No rotations from anyone on the Goomba side. I guess Earthshaker, he was out of mana. You had your Magnus, who didn't have an RP. No one was just equipped to rotate up there to help out the Medusa. I think RMN didn't get the memo.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate for him, but he's had a really positive game so far. It kind of makes up for the fact that he's been freely farming away, but he's still rocking 160 CS, and he's had a pretty swell game as far as just focusing on farm. Now, movement speed is an important tool, not just for escaping from a lot of these gank opportunities, so maybe dodging a Slug Pounce, getting away from a storm as quickly as possible, but it's also just going from camp to camp. A lot of people underrate movement speeds. Medusa is extremely slow, and if you get the SNY, then you can do a lot with it. I don't know if I would favor it over like Mask of Madness PvE farming, but yeah. Anyways, as far as the stats, I'm having Cardoda help me out.
Cut you off. State's about to get ganked here. There's a Blink initiation. Even your Earthshaker with a Blink dagger. They may need an Echo Slam for this one. They'll use it. RP and Echo Slam for the Storm kill. Did have his Bloodstone back on the courier, but hadn't picked it up just yet.
Well, I guess it's better, because the time of respawn is not worth the fact that he loses charges right out the gate. It's going to be a solo Wisp relocate. It's enough to turn the fight away. Shadow will bounce. No, he won't get the bounce over, and he had enough HP anyways. But Exist takes a nice set of creeps here, Eidolons and Necronomicon. As far as the stats on the SNY Medusa, I had Cardoda look it up for me. 9 times it's been picked up, and Illidan was 3 of those times. So he's kind of paving the way for those very interesting builds, and yeah, he'll still go for the Scotty as his next pickup.
Okay, yeah. Fairly standard transition. Normally you just see like a Yasha into a Scotty, and then later the Yasha becomes a Manta, but...
Watch him go like Manta Halberd or something crazy, I don't know.
Oh man. Well, for now, there's your Bloodstone and your Storm Spirit. Picks up a Smoke as well to go with this. It looks like their plan for the Radiant team is to make a move. They have gone for the Necrobook on your Enigma.
Oh, they saw the smoke. This ward is so rare, but they saw it perfectly.
I like this idea from Enigma. Getting the Necrobook against the Medusa, give you some good mana burn and a way of dealing with that mana shield. And not a bad pushing item. It is an item that's fallen off a lot with the changes at Receiver. It gives a lot more golden XP now, but still a solid item overall. They're going to catch up Medusa in the mid lane. Can they bring him down? They've got no Necrobooks here. I don't think they can get this kill. They haven't got the damage. There's going to be a black hole before the RP comes out. There was no RP. Just as Skura's looking for the Death Ward a bit later. The Skura will cancel. That's going to, well, still be the death of the Magnus. Slark gets stuck on the high ground. That's not a place he wants to be. Your Storm forced back. He's running low on mana, being chased down by a Bristleback. 2-for-0 trade. They saw the smoke and they still got punished.
They pinged out the smoke. They probably assumed that it was going for some random spot like the jungle, but no, it goes right down mid, and it does get the pickoffs they're looking for. Now trying to follow through on a Chill. They get the overload. It's actually hit on EDE, but now we get to hit the Pounce, the death of Chill.
Took him a while to get the Pounce, but he finally gets back in for it. Now he's got a lot of Essence charge procs here. Quista getting kind of low here. Medusa with the Stone Gaze. They're just going to wait this one out, but Enigma trapped by a Fissure. Going to be the lone casualty for Scary Faces so far. Slark may want to go back in. He's got 11 Essence Shift charges, but seems with Goomba respawning most of their heroes, the Magnus especially, you still got an RP. They're going to back off. He blinked into that black hole. He was like mid-skewer. That would have been so good for Goomba if he got that RP off. That would have been a clean teamfight victory.
Well, he didn't have the RP, but if he got the skewer, he should have set up the Earthshaker a lot better. Like, that's just a much better combo. Even technically the Concussive could splash. So like just chaining up soft disables at the very least, lock them in place, and then you maybe get a better Stone Gaze off. But yeah, actually Echo Slam initiate, that's a really important decision that gets them the kill.
I like that, man. I think they didn't need to do it because they could have seen he just used the Dark Pact, so it does have that. It's a short cooldown, but it's still a cooldown.
Shadow Blade.
Yeah. Yeah, if you try to go for like a fissure or like you say, a silence or a blink skewer, he could Shadow Blade out. So nice gank, and now we see Enigma complete the Necro 3. Gives you maybe some map control potential as well, using it to de-ward, but for Scary Faces, they're just going to looking to probably take some, I feel like they need to take some fights soon. They're not going to scale as well into the late game as a Medusa Magnus draft will, so not to mention just late game team fights. You've got Earthshaker and Magnus on the same team. Bristleback is looking pretty tanky and like a good front line despite having a 1-5 score. He's got his Crimson Guard for the team, so... And just the Enigma. This Necrobook build is not a late game build. This is something which shines for like around the 20 to 30 minute mark.
Still going for a moment. It's going to be the death of the Skywrath in exchange for the Wisp. He relocated solo again for that play. The Storm was completely out of mana, so they had to do something to finish that one off. He bottles up a Bounty Rune, leaps to the high ground, and the RP is cancelled. So that is going to be stage 21 to get out scot-free and to make it a 1-for-1 otherwise. Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, I think it's the big thing. It could have been worse, and State up to 12 Bloodstone charges. It is Scary Faces with a slight net worth lead at the moment. Experience so slight as well. It's a big bad Medusa though, working on that Skadi. Has a second ultimate orb now, just about 500-600 gold away from that completed Skadi.
So there's a couple items I want to talk about. Real quick, I'll mention the SNY. Another nice thing about it is to set up the Stone Gaze a little bit better. I've talked about the Centaur Medusa combo in the past where you get the Stampede, and Medusa always gets people caught in that Stone Gaze because they just, no matter which way they turn, she's right in front of you. But the SNY does that to a minor degree. The other thing you were talking about, the Necronomicon, it's really good in the sense of the mana burn. Obviously, you get an active as well as an orb effect on the melee. But you get the attack speed aura for Slark, which he's already benefiting from a ton from the overcharge and his item set. Almost all of his items give him attack speed, so he's going to be hitting fast. The last thing is that Medusa's split shot is actually proximity based. A lot of people don't really think about it, but it's hitting the 5 targets that are closest to her. So the melee Necronomicon is always going to be tanking that up, and it makes it very likely for her to proc that last will.
Well, the main thing there is, like, at the same time though, Medusa, once you get that Skadi, you tank up enough, Necrobook's easy gold. Like, even if you kill that melee Necrobook and proc Last Will, is Medusa really dying off of that? Probably not, unless, like, Magnus or Earthshaker isn't. Assuming Magnus and Earthshaker are there to protect the Medusa, I can see Medusa just happily farming these Necrobooks at this point, so...
It's true, but, I mean, they have to have a game plan that overall says Medusa dies in this fight, otherwise it's a losing strategy from the get-go.
So, big 5-man group up towards mid lane. Goomba are ready to go. It's the Skadi Medusa timing. 24 minutes in, fantastic farm for RMN. And they're going to look to use this to take some objectives. Earthshaker and Magnus, the 2 big team fighters, just kind of sitting behind, but looks like they may be forced back to farm. There's a bit of a creep by pushing towards the top lane, and you're just going to lose out on a lot of efficiency and some good farm if you just spend too much time grouped up, and if Scary Faces just stall out, spam creep waves, and you're not getting towers, then you're not really making good use of the group up.
So we see SMY is up for Quista, San just coming out for Chill. I'm wondering if either one of those actually does build into the Crimson Guard, because right now no BKBs are on the field, and disarming the Slark or disarming the Medusa could be huge. Speaking of, Medusa getting some good right clicks onto the Slark directly.
That Slark looks so squishy there.
He does.
You get a Sage proc and then it's like, it's just GG.
Of course, look at his items. Like, he only has treads for HP. Yeah. He's gone for full offensive, attack speed, and a little bit of damage.
You just wouldn't normally expect Medusa to be a right clicker this early on. Normally Medusa is like just a tank, but with Empower level 3 and the main proc, suddenly Medusa's hitting for about 200 damage, amplified by the main proc, so that made things a whole lot nicer for this Medusa. So you can actually be a pretty big right click damage dealer, even with these kind of more tanky items.
So moving forward, we're going to be seeing BKB come out for Exist long term, and the big thing is the Aghanim Scepter coming out for Eknart. If he can get that, then he's going to be able to change things up, but he's still 1,000, or rather 800 gold off. So it comes down to him making sure that Fisher's on cooldown, making sure that he's out of the vision of Skywrath so he can't silence him, and also making sure that he channels the Death Ward in a direction that's not facing Medusa. Yeah. It's a difficult one to get off, but if he does, obviously we've seen it just completely break the game.
It feels like his damage output is going to be essential, because that's something where Scary Faces are going to need every little bit of damage they can to bring down a Medusa, to bring down a Bristleback, and There's a lot of tanky heroes on this dire side, and it's going to be someone's job, someone like the Earthshaker with a fissure, just to hold on to that fissure until the Death Ward comes out and make sure you cancel it, because that's one of the few things which could really hurt Goomba in a team fight. Or at least one of the few things they're not ready for. Like they know Stormer's going to ball in and maybe pick off a support killer Skywrath Mage, but what's going to lose Goomba a team fight is like a full duration Death Ward. Storm getting a kill here or there is not going to lose him a fight. Slark finding a kill on an Earthshaker is not going to lose him a fight, but a big duration Death Ward will.
So for right now, it is just going to be farm fest from both sides. Obviously, we thought this game would go a little bit later, but I mean, we got two Hands of Midas on the side of SFZ, although their hero draft doesn't seem to have the fullest 5v5 potential when it comes to like the hour mark. It still is them getting a little bit more experience, a little bit more gold for less. They have to stretch less beyond their comfort zone. They still can stay on their side of the river, get a lot of value out of just their own jungle rotations, and Slark is still actually getting some time in the western dire jungle, so it's worked out pretty well so far. But now we've got this Invis play, and there's a lot of potential to just scare the Wisp out. He just tethered a creep again. What the hell, dude? What?
This has been some questionable Wisp play throughout this game. I don't know, and he tried to TP there? Like, I mean, I guess that was it was kind of close to TPing out, but not really.
Yeah, but what? Like, I can chalk the first one to a misplay of like it was, you know, a couple hundred units away from the storm.
Oh, lane, by the way. No, ain't gonna work. Not with the Stone Gaze. Black Hole gets cancelled. RMN blocking a lot of the damage with help of the Crimson Guard. State also gonna get hit in the Stone Gaze. RMN may just look to turn and fight, but there's your Death Ward. Does not want to fight into this one. They've got nothing to cancel it. And RMN with the Maledictum, I think he's dead to this one. Yeah, he's gonna turn and fight. That is not gonna work. This Necrobook with the last will. Chiller's gonna kill the Necrobook with the Quill Spray. That hurts a lot. Magnus blinks in. He's not got the RP. Blink. Echo Slam from Ede. He's got two. That's going to save this team fight for now, but now your Slark's going to just wreak havoc. He gets silenced up, or is he? He's got locked down. Great play from Goomba to control him, and well, it's just the two supports. They're trying to man up and bring down Exist. They may actually succeed in doing so. They tether in. Oh! Earthshaker, the hero of this fight.
Yeah, that was incredible. Really, just on the back of that, they obviously Medusa survived long enough for him to get to the fight. He was nowhere near it when it began, but yeah, he was just incredible, getting every single stun off perfectly. EDE saving the day for Goomba. What looked to be kind of like a tactical feat because they were winning the fight so hard subsequently. It turns into at least Goomba getting a few return kills, especially on the Slark. That's important, because if not, Slark walks away with nearly a BKB, where Witch Doctor finishes in Aghanims, and the game shifts heavily in SFZ's favor. But with the kill on the Slark, at least he's taken down a notch, and Roche is not a freebie for them.
And Storm dying as well. He's back down to 8 Bloodstone charges. You're not letting him get completely out of control with these charges, and that's good news for Goomba, especially now that he's working a BKB. If he managed to get up to a lot of Bloodstone charges and then had a BKB so you couldn't control him in a team fight too well, you're suddenly in a world of pain. So Goomba put himself in a solid position now. BKBs of their own. Magnus about 1,000 gold away from it. And Medusa, despite dying, still has a good chunk of gold to work towards her next big item.
She has 275 CS. RMN has really just been putting these PvE items to work. He's been farming the jungle actively, and that's without too much ward coverage, honestly. Like, the Slark has been roaming all around this part of the jungle and a little bit into the central position, and they haven't really had ward coverage, but he's been safe because it's just Slark is completely incapable of a solo kill, and I guess they just don't have the Storm in the position. Like, Storm would have to be there, and then they could relocate. That's happened once on the towards the top tier 1 when it was still standing, and that's about it.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Well, we'll see what the next move for Goomba is going to be. They're going to get some wards up near this top lane, maybe look to use this to somewhat counteract what Slark's been doing up near this top lane, but for the Radiant side, they're grouped up near their own jungle, near the bottom lane. They've got most of their team headed down there, and Radiant Vision not better than what we're seeing from the Dire side. The Dire side only just now getting a fresh ward in the lane at top. They've got one near the mid lane, but with Roshan up, you've got to imagine both teams will be looking to kind of control this area as one of their main priorities.
Yep, so grouping up together here, all ultimates off cooldown. The Roche seems to be their objective, and they can just put Chill in the pit. It's not really too risky there. If they do lose track of the Witch Doctor, that's going to be the real problem. The Witch Doctor does have the Aghanim Scepter. If one person is getting hit, all of them are getting hit, and it's just going to come down to Eknard's positioning. But otherwise, yeah, getting the Empower on the Medusa early and then trying to just bait the pit with the RP, Echo Slam. That's still a really good fight waiting to happen for Goomba.
Yeah. Well, Scary Faces still gonna be looking to maybe fall back a bit on the late game prowess of an Enigma Black Hole. He needs that BKB still, it feels like. Even with there being an RP and a Stone Gaze, you still just want to negate the options that can catch you. Goomba now, speaking again, caught
blink.
and now Storm in trouble. He's got Silence up, he's still alive for now, but he's going to go in with a Fissure. Echo Slam blows him up. Shadow trying to turn this one around, we'll get just the Skarath Mage for now. Necrobooks. Oh, actually off to the side, it's Chill. He's gone in with the Quill Spray. That's going to be 5 seconds before the Wisp can get the relocate out. They're going to lose the Witch Doctor. Here comes your Slark. Chill locked in place. He can't really fight the Slark too well. Actually, he can with the Quill Stacks. It's going to be the Slark forced back, and that's 2 down the Radiant side. A pretty low respawn for your Storm Spirit if they want to try and contest this Roshan still.
Should be probably Dusa tanking here, but Chill does have the Crimson Guard, so at least has some damage block if he's on the front line. And the respawn from Storm is just a little bit too slow. That Bloodstone giving him the ability to get back to the fight, but even if he TPs now, Gross is gone.
You're just going to go the way of your Bristleback. Chill picks it up, and Goomba suddenly looking pretty okay here in game 1. They're still behind on net worth, but Medusa is getting scarier and scarier, and the net worth lead is kind of getting smaller and smaller.
Definitely. The big thing here is just every fight control the Death Ward. Even a Black Hole hitting on 3 or 4 people isn't that bad, as long as the Death Ward isn't involved as well. Later, when the Slark gets farmed, the Black Hole will be devastating too, but right now they need a little bit of everything. SFZ needs to hit all their ultimates to at least a 50% success rate. Right now, it's Witch Doctor not getting anything. Enigma didn't get too much either. So Goomba, yeah, they spread the fights pretty well, and they're obviously bouncing back hard.
Yeah, all these fights so far have been pre the BKB era, because both teams worked on a couple BKBs. Your Storm, your Slark just picked up his. Enigma, you'd probably imagine is picking one up in about 500 gold. Bristleback, Magnus, both going BKBs. How are things going to change when there's something like 4 or 5 BKBs in the field? Do you give either team an edge in those team fights at that point?
I mean, right now, there's more physical damage coming out from Goomba with the Death Wards under control. So since there's no BKB on Witch Doctor, that's it's probably going to be favorable for Goomba. Like, again, it still comes down to the Death Ward. If they cancel that channel, then I think with most people having a BKB, Goomba is going to be able to do so much more because they've got the Bristle, they've got the Medusa. But if, by some chance, just perfect positioning in the trees, whatever, Eknar gets a, like, 5-man Death Ward, then everybody being immune to magic doesn't matter.
Middle tower is under attack.
Well, see if either team even looks to take those fights. It looks like Goomba have some push in mind towards mid lane. They're going to go straight for the tower. You see a hero top. I think they maybe even saw the Storm bottom lane. He's lurking around in these trees though, for now hidden. And Goomba going to continue 5-man down mid. Butterfly recently picked up by your Medusa. And I think with this item pickup, Goomba feeling pretty potent with their 5-man capabilities. They've got Aegis on their side as well. Wisp with a relocate just a creep skip here, and we'll see him take out this creep wave from behind, so that'll at least kind of slow down the push. But as far as if you can take out this creep wave, push around your base, they've got no creep wave, but Goomba may just go for it with this one creep wave.
Well, they're going to be tanking towers. If they leave the base, they're all backdoor production kicks back in, and they know it. So Medusa has to stay in range of the tower the entire time, and that keeps her position pretty transparent.
Well, it's going to work. They're going to get at least a tier 3 tower for now. Chill taking a lot of damage, but he's got the Aegis. That's his purpose. He's meant to take that damage. Top lane, they're losing a tier 2 tower to the Slark. It seems like a pretty solid overall push for Goomba as far as what they gained. At the same time, Scary Faces dealt with it in very safe fashion. They didn't overcommit. They pushed him out. They gave up a tier 3 tower. They took a tier 2 on the other side of the map, so it wasn't all losses for them. They did get some small gain.
Yeah, I feel like if the Aegis was taken out of the Bristleback's hands there, then the tier 2 for tier 3 trade is okay. They also got the Glyph of Fortification from the Dire as well. So I think if they had just killed the Bristleback, done a couple hundred more damage, then they would be walking away happy with that. But
at the same time, Aegis only a minute and a half left, maybe about 2 minutes, so Goomba at most maybe get another tier 2 tower out of this, like the bottom lane, which is already like a dead tower anyway, so maybe they could rush down mid 5-man while they still got the Aegis, but it's going to be a very small window where they've got the Aegis if they go for a push for Raps.
Sure. I definitely agree with that. So it really comes down to maybe a smoke initiation. Right now, all smokes are bought out, but we do have one on the Earthshaker, so he's going to be the catalyst if they do make a play, group up together, and try to jump while the Aegis is still intact.
Bristleback has the money for a BKB if he wants to buy it back at base, but holding on to that cash for now. Probably also somewhat slot limited if he's going to keep holding on to the gem and may wait for the Aegis to expire. Scary Faces are down here. This is not a kill they really want to go for. Bristleback will run at them, scouts out the Remnant. Wisp also needs to be careful. He has not been scouted out. It looks like just the Storm. He's going to ball much further away. Actually catches out the Skywrath Mage. Will maybe get this kill. The Orca damage should be enough. They're going to catch up the Storm though. Blink, Echo Slam, even the RP.
I was perfectly fine with everything that happened until the RP came out. I feel it's pretty important, but if the Stone Gaze connects,
Storm has no buyback, by the way. He bought his BKB before he died. That's actually maybe Rax here.
Maybe. We'll see if the Black Hole, the Midnight Pulse, can hold it here. Chill taking a ton of damage on the front line. Has to walk through the Midnight Pulse to get away. He's stuck in the pounce. He's leashed inside the Midnight Pulse.
He wants to die. He's got the Aegis, though.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely will work out in that capacity, but it's still going to be one less hero for these...
this cast. Bouncing back and forth between two. They get the pounce on the Medusa. He pops a Stone Gaze. This gives Enigma Chain to wait for that Blink Black Hole. Could come in from the side, but they've lost the melee Rax. And Goomba, no, that Blink Black Hole could be coming soon. And here comes your chase. Chill. Hit by the Malefice, but the follow-up just isn't there right now.
Yeah, they need to relocate the Enigma if they want to make this happen, but everybody's blinking out. They're just trying to bring the Slark in. He's got movement speed. He does connect on Chill, and we'll see what they commit to try to bail him out. Force Staff pulling down effects, but he goes in with the BKB.
Okay, we'll see. Twister still in okay position. He's got the ultimate, going to go in the Shadow Dance. There's your Death Ward, catches everyone. RMN, no way to cancel this. It's bouncing to the backlines as well. Eid going to go down on the Shaker. The Skywrath Mystic Flare, not bad, but no follow-up damage to finish off any kills here. They're going to lose 3, and Chill could be in some trouble as well if he's not careful, but not going to get chased down. 3 die on the Goomba side. They get a melee Rax, but so hard to get away from the mobile Slark with Shadowblade, Sanjin Yashi. You've got Relocate, you've got Blink Daggers, you've got a Storm Spirit who respawned at the right time. Getting out scot-free, very difficult.
And speaking of Relocate, they probably should relocate bottom to get a little bit more farm. There's no real threat from the Magnus and Bristle before he got the RP back up, but they'll just group up together and
they want to
take a lot of tier damage down bottom.
They're kind of going all in for this one. Dusa does have a buyback available, so
yeah, they need to force that, I think. Otherwise, Dusa just gets too big.
It's definitely worthwhile, and also gives them just openings if they win another fight while the buyback's on cooldown. Suddenly, they actually can take a lane of Rax, although I say that, maybe they're taking one right now. Medusa holding on to the buyback for now. The tier 3 tower going down. There's your buyback. Dusa going to TP into the middle of things. Has a Stone Gaze available as well, but there is still a Black Hole. TP was actually cancelled, and it looks like with the buyback from Medusa, everyone's going to disperse and go back to farming here.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, those 12 seconds so that Relocate takes to farm out the bottom laning cleared out. Yeah, it saves almost half your tower's HP, but that's 12 seconds of Medusa's death timer she's less and less likely to buy out with, and their primary objective was to make sure that she bought back. That's 1,600 reliable gold, or 1,400 reliable gold down the drain, and she's going to buy out for her next item, the Crystallis.
Okay, pure right-click damage at this point from Medusa. Kind of risky, I almost feel. I'm not...
You think?
I
mean, she died last fight, but that was due to a lot more than just the Medusa. It was the RP being on cooldown, the Death Ward hitting on 4 or 5 heroes, and yeah, I feel like in a normal fight, Medusa doesn't die, and her survivability isn't in question. I mean, the Slark can't even... he does have an MKB against her, so that's something, but you can't, like, abyssal her and lock her out of the fight. I feel that damage is the way to go, at least for this item slot.
Yeah, I think my main worry is if, like, Enigma can get off a good Black Hole. Even if you somehow get a cancel, like using an RP or something through the BKB Black Hole, if you use too many of your stuns and lockdown to maybe deal with the Enigma Black Hole, suddenly it opens up Witch Doctor, who's sitting even further back to get off that really big Death Ward. Witch Doctor could pick up something like a Shadow Amulet or a Blink Dagger to get that really good positioning for the Death Ward now. So I think this is still a pretty scary time for Goomba. Medusa is not entirely unkillable, and Slark is also getting pretty scary as far as right-click damage goes with his current item set. And he's got buyback for the next fight, should he need it.
So what would you go in that case? So you go for the Satanic? Or?
I think the Satanic... Like, just pick up a Helm of the Dominator, maybe.
Okay.
But we'll see Medusa... just sell off the Quelling Blade, pick up a TP. I think that just pick up Helm of the Dominator and go into Satanic, maybe?
Okay.
I'm not... I just like the idea of having that life
she just bought out, so it's not like she doesn't have to farm but 1,200 gold, and she'll be able to buy out for the Dominator too.
That's true. I guess you don't really need the TP scroll right now, but we'll see Iron Man what he does here. His right-click damage is impressive, but I don't think there was ever a problem as far as damage output goes. The fights are being more decided by the big ulti spells.
Yeah, exactly. And there are some new viewers, so I will talk about this mechanic real quick. There is an item called Crimson Guard on the Bristleback. It blocks damage for the entire team when he activates it on them, but there are plenty of things that do auto attacks that don't actually get blocked, and Death Ward is one of them. Any ward, their attacks won't be blocked, and therefore that 50 damage reduction doesn't really mean anything in that case. So it really is the Death Ward putting out pretty much the most damage in these fights, and that's why it's so important for them to save a spell to interrupt it.
I don't know if that... I think Medusa wanted that Aegis, by the way. Iron Man dropped his TP, well, actually used/cancelled his TP. I think intending to pick up the Aegis. And I don't think Bristleback, who has buyback available, should be taking an Aegis from a buyback-less Medusa. I don't think they want to push.
I don't think they can actually push with that Aegis.
If I'm Goomba, I'm not pushing while my Medusa doesn't have buyback right now. So maybe they can do so in 3.5 minutes. So they'll have like a maybe 1 minute window where they have Aegis and Medusa buyback. But this is still... I feel like a definite mistake, because Medusa clearly dropped a TP scroll to make space for the Aegis.
You play Enigma a lot. What do you go in this situation? I'm kind of thinking you can get a Force Staff so that you can, as soon as you see the Stone Gaze come out, turn the other way.
It's all about the refresher, man. Late game, 45 minutes in, you want that second black hole. Yeah, especially if you have buyback, just because it's a 3-minute cooldown on your ultimate. It's like, it's not even about having a double black hole in a row. It's just about like, okay, my black hole's on cooldown, the other team's pushing because I have no black hole. Refresher, easy solution.
Yeah. Do you think you need buyback and refresher here? Because like I feel like once he gets the one fight, Deuce is gonna take him down one way or another.
I think you save buyback until the point where you can buy your full refresher, and then you give up your buyback money. But
okay, or like, just sell Midas.
Yeah, that's possible as well. But I think it's worth holding onto your buyback until you can buy the full refresher.
Radiant's top
But refresher's worth giving up your buyback for.
Okay.
But for now, they are going to push. This Medusa's going to be very careful. Alright, man. Playing things on the risky side here. Without a buyback, it will put Chill on the high ground here, but not the easiest to push into a Midnight Pulse. He's going to turn his back and get the hell away from there.
Yep. And Magnus is going to be working on his refresher too, so I kind of feel like you have to up the ante as far as the potential of your ultimates there, and just try to make the one that hits count, because otherwise it's just going to be you're outgunned by one or too many ultimates, and that's going to be a huge problem.
Well, Wisp going to pick up a Yule Scepter now. Stormspirit himself getting a good pile of gold for himself. He's got 4k gold roughly, and has got the complete BKB. Pings out towards the bottom lane. Something SFZ can always do is use that relocate just for some extra split push and pressure on these side lanes, but actual right-click damage and ability to threaten high ground is kind of lacking with their draft, so...
Do you bring the Necro 3 out that way, or do you just have Slark right-click for 12 seconds?
I would just... I mean, Necro 3 is honestly not going to do a whole lot in the fight. Like, for a while, I think in the early to mid-game it was good against Medusa, but at this point, Medusa will just kill it so fast that the melee Necrobook won't even get many right-clicks off. I guess it's some damage on a Medusa, but last pull damage at this point is not quite as impressive as it once was.
So, do you think there's any value in right now just relocating bottom lane, drop the Necro, Eidolons, and seeing what it accomplishes? I mean, the thing is the IO does have a Yules, so you can't just look to burst the IO down before the relocate rubber band, because he gets 2.5 seconds free, and you can't actually stop the rubber band no matter what you do. I guess Glimpse is the only exception to that, but when he's going to be going back, he's going to be going back. He cannot voluntarily prevent that with a self-Yules. You can't disable it off of him. It's just a way, something that's coded in where it's going to happen no matter what.
I think one of the more useful Necro 3 kind of purposes right now is just the de-warding. Like, being able to de-ward the map can help out a lot here. We'll see initiation. Oh, RP just on your Witch Doctor. He's going to be relocated back. Nice play from your Wisp. He's still alive. Here comes your Death Ward, possibly. Eknet from the side. He's back off out of range. RMN possibly in some trouble here, taking a lot of damage. He's going to get the Stone Gaze off. Where is that black hole? Enigma still far away. Making his move in. RMN still alive for now. Blink. Black hole on 2. Catches RMN, but where's the damage? Bristleback goes in. Slark gonna finish off one. Going on to the second. We'll get Exist. Shadow still alive for now. Will be brought down by your Bristle. Now Medusa dead without buyback. It's gonna come up in just a second, but doesn't matter. Your Bristle is still dead. It's a disaster in the top lane for Goomba. That is just... They RP'd a Witch Doctor. What are you thinking?
I don't know. They thought if he can be caught without buyback that they win the game, and that's true, but he's not bought anything for a long, long time. 3,800 gold, and he didn't even die. He got relocated out to a position where he could Death Ward and force the retreat. If the black hole hadn't come in, then the Medusa Stone Gaze would have actually made it so that Goomba wins that fight, but obviously the Enigma is a factor. We've been hyping it up, and there is that juicy black hole.
He showed up to that fight pretty late, too. I think that fight could have gone even better for SFZ if he wasn't, like, he was pretty far back near the base. I mean, I think it was Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor was completely out in who knows where, but still, he just stayed alive long enough. Also tanked the RP conveniently, but that is a big fight to be won for Scary Faces. And Medusa, was alive for a long time and a couple hundred HP as well. That was the other thing there. If Medusa had just taken a bit more damage from someone like a Slack, may have not even needed the black hole to kill off the Medusa.
Sure. So, I mean, yeah, he's trying to get involved as he can. Right now, 84 agility is what he got out of that fight, so he's farming very quickly, but unable to push. They've taken all the outer tier towers. Usually say Slark wins a fight, he takes that damage and puts it into a tower, but in this case, he's just spreading the map with it. As far as vision goes, we've got a gem and Necro on the side of SFZ. No such thing on the side of the Dire yet.
They just lost their... That was their gem they lost. But,
okay.
Yeah.
So the switch up there makes a lot of sense why it's kind of a demilitarized zone across the map after you get past this territory.
Well, is this now his refresh getting closer and closer to it, about maybe 1 to 1.5k gold away. It really feels like Goomba maybe are going to struggle in the late game. If they can't deal with this Enigma Black Hole, Shadow almost has enough money for a refresher of now as well, especially if he wants to decide to sell something like the Midas. Could even consider selling something like a Necrobook if you're worried about, if you want to have refresher and buyback in a late, like if a push is coming your way, but I don't imagine Goomba going for another push anytime soon.
No, I think he has time to farm it, and at that point, what else do you tack onto that? Are you looking at a Shiva's Guard to slow down their damage a little bit, get a little bit more magic damage out yourself? Do you go for the Aghanim Scepter for the double Midnight Pulse?
Ooh.
What really follows that if this game goes even later?
Axe is good. I think both the... well, there's your Shivers. It's going to be on the Storm, so they could get a double Shivers, but I like the idea of an Axe
I'd rather
Scepter.
see Axe or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I think it's going to be... He's going to get his Refresher, and then he's going to want buyback, so I think that's going to eat up most of his money for at least the next 10... Unless we go, like, beyond 60 minutes, which is quite likely.
Of course we are.
Yeah.
What are you kidding? SFZ, these guys are the masters of the 3-hour game. Like, these guys... They play it late, so I don't know. I think they're really talking. They're at least in discussion of how they're going to take this to the nth degree. They go for 7 slots on everyone and have a overall late game item trajectory.
And the late game potential for SFZ is definitely there. We've got Slark and Storm, both pretty good late game carries. Slark, good in the late game as far as like 1v1 hero killing, not the best as far as split pushing or sieging bases, but still not a bad hero. The big hero to me is still going to be the Enigma. Like his ability to make these black holes happen. So we'll see what the plan's going to be. I feel like Goomba need to be trying to catch him. If you can get a solo RP on Enigma and kill the Enigma, I think it's worth it because it's initially like earlier in the mid game it was the Death Ward you have to worry about winning team fights for SFZ, but now it's becoming the black hole.
So just clearing things out. Everybody's kind of sticking together in the side of Goomba here. They really want to emphasize the Roach Pit, but at least for now, they're just struggling to get wards taken care of. No de-warding on their side. They have the Geometry set on the Skywrath, who's playing it as safe as possible. So checking the cliff up here, but I'm not even sure if they're going to make their rounds towards the bottom rune, and where they were completely discovered as far as the whole de-warding method. I
think the other big issue for Goomba in that last fight was, if Medusa had Aegis, it's Medusa on the front line sieging, who can actually siege the tower better than Bristle can. Because you have Medusa hitting the tower, and if anyone comes near, you just split shot them down, so you're doing damage to the tower as well as heroes, so bit of a misplay, I think, there. This Aegis, gotta imagine, is actually going to go Iron Man's way. Chill can take...
Cheese is good, too. I mean, as long as she gets one of the two.
Yeah. I think the Aegis is much more preferred in your front liner, because if you're in your front lines, you don't know if you're going to get hit by, like, some Disable, but they will give the Aegis to Chill again.
Yeah, I mean, he gets 1,000 mana out of it, so it's not ideal, but he still gets pretty much everything that he wants.
The problem with Cheese is whether or not you can get it off, though. If you're stunned, if you're in a black hole, you don't get that second line.
It's two black holes for him to not be able to use Cheese.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe you have to use Cheese inefficiently, where you're at like 40% HP, but I can't imagine he doesn't get the opportunity to use it whatsoever, unless he like leaves Mana Shield off for some reason. Which is another thing. If you get a quick disable, like the Orchid comes out onto Medusa right when he respawns from the Aegis the Immortal, he actually can't get the Mana Shield, and then you can burst him down with almost no effective HP.
Yep. And we'll see both teams, like you say, taking to the late game. Scary Face specialty here. They've got Storm Spirit with Boots of Travel. everything he needs. Just got that one last item slot to fill for your Slark. He's just about to pick up a Butterfly, and then he'll be at that 6-slotted status. So both their carries pretty good to go. Enigma, what's he bought? He's bought Boots of Travel, actually. Didn't go straight into the Refresher here. Shadow just holding on to some bank for the time being, and probably feeling pretty confident in their high ground defense, even with just the single black hole for the time being. And
so how long is it going to take before they pop the Necro, smoke it all the way to the enemy side of the map, then all BOTs and relocate to go for the surprise 5-man next to your base play?
I feel like Goomba kind of have the edge in a base race, though, as far as damage output. With the Medusa with this items and Bristleback, I don't think SFZ have the good base racing lineup. Slark without Essence Shift is not going to actually be able to siege that quickly.
Yeah. Speaking of the Slark, I mean, he's going to go for the Butterfly here, which is great because there's no MKB. But the traditional item the Slark would have at this stage in the game, guaranteed, is an Abyssal Blade. The Monkey King Bar kind of fills that item slot, but how do you feel about the fact that he doesn't have such a key item in terms of taking somebody out of the fight?
It seems slightly problematic. The other item, which I like seeing late game Slarks pick up, like that, it works really well when you have the Abyssal, is the Blink. If you have like a Blink Abyssal, so you can initiate onto someone like a Magnus, it's fantastic. But he replaces Shadow Blade, which I'm fine with. I think the Shadow Blade's an item which really kind of falls off for a Slark, because it's good on like supports in the late game, like we see like Goblet get on his Earthshaker, but I feel like Slark can make a lot of use out of something like a Blink Dagger in a late game scenario. So he's going to be entirely just relying on his movement speed with the Sanjin Yasha here, which is maybe... I would almost prefer to see a Blink than a Sanjin Yasha at this point.
That's what I'm thinking. If we're talking optimum 7-slot Dota, I would say sell the Sanjin Yasha for the Blink Dagger, and then swap out the MKB for the Abyssal, depending on who you're looking to fight.
Yeah, it's hard because of the Medusa Butterfly, but I feel like you want an Abyssal somewhere in there. Even an Abyssal over the Butterfly. Like, the evasion's nice and all, but having like a Blink Abyssal... I don't know. It's hard to... It's always hard to know, and it's a lot easier to kind of sit back and say, oh, this could be better, but...
The thing I really like about Blink Abyssal, though, is you can guarantee a black hole in most situations here. The Stone Gaze and the RP are the only things that are going to break a BKB black hole. So if you can Abyssal the Medusa, then you can just drop the black hole on yourself, and it's going to be hard for the Magnus to pull you out of it. So I would say if you can just stop that Stone Gaze and know that you're stopping the Stone Gaze so that you can follow it up with the black hole, like, that is a guaranteed ability. Maybe once they get into Refresher territory, that's more something they'll try to attempt.
Magnus now with a Refresher of his own. We're reaching that late game funky stage where these big luxury items come up. Still not seeing any item progression out of the Medusa here. Daedalus was picked up by RMN, and he's still got that open items. He'll see this Butterfly on Slark, and I imagine he's just going to say, like, okay, sell my Sanjin Yasha, pick up MKB, easy peasy.
I actually kept on walking past this ward. Slark's like, I know they see us, Shadow Dance and all, but took them a while for them to actually get the gem out. Now they'll smoke up. They have Blink Aghanim Scepter on this Witch Doctor. If he just hides in the shadows, lurks, and finds an opportunity, maybe there's a... you can't really see it, draw it on the map, but to the west of the Tier 3 tower there's an opening, or maybe just in the tree line in general. There's not a lot of clear vision coming in from Goomba. They have to break the trees or see you blink in there. So I'd like to see it play like that, but right now...
I think Goomba may just have to back off here. They've got about a minute left on this Aegis. If they want to go, they've got to commit and go now.
They just popped a smoke, so they are committed.
Okay. Storm is going to now pressure the bottom lane, so they need to make sure they go in and get something done here. Chill going to take a Maledict, which is going to synergize pretty nicely with this Midnight Pulse, taking a lot of damage on the tower. They are on the clock, and there's a glyph on the Radiant side. I believe the Dire also have a glyph, which they may be forced to use here. Chill just trying to chew through this Aegis, knowing it's about to expire. Medusa will bring down the top tower now onto the melee racks. No one wants to engage, and they're just going to lose the racks here. Slark finally decides to go in, trying to just bait out the Stone Gaze. Oh, that bounce between two here. They're mana burning. They get the black hole, but it's too late. He popped the cheese just barely in time. That'll save Arman's life for a little bit, but not long enough. He goes down regardless. The RP too late. The double RP, but Medusa going to buy back. Look to TP in. Can they bring down the creep? Somebody hit the creep. Nope, Arman's back. The death one from the Icon. Echo Slam from E. It's huge. Buybacks from SFZ. The Storm needs the ball back in. He goes into the middle of things here. He's still alive for the time being. Medusa in the front lines may die for a second time. This will be a dieback from Arman. Maledict is going to seal his fate. Everybody on Goomba evaporated. It's all over. It's an ultra kill for Slark. He TP's bottom. They can just go for the throne. Oh no.
They Bristle and Magnus at the very least. This is so costly. We see the POT forward. Slark on the front line, relocating.
They've got four. They've got no Medusa though. Slark with all the essence shift in the world. 150 agility. He can just fight. Don't run, Slark. Man up. Take him down!
He doesn't have the BKB. He has to wait 10 seconds and then he can go.
The disables have been used on the Storm, who actually gets taken out. Now Krista can wreak havoc. He goes in, hits the Skywrath Mage, who pops the Ghost Scepter, as does the Earthshaker. Back in now with those Ghost Scepters wearing off. He's just going to go in for more. 183 agility and counting up to 200 and more. Krista just beast moding here in the enemy base. Still 75 seconds without Medusa. He two-shots the Earthshaker. Plus, what is this damage? What? This is not Dota! GG!
It's just too insane.
Scary face Dota, man.
Oh, Quista does it again. That is absolutely incredible. A celebratory death ward didn't even have it to come out, but man, was that just such a beautiful black hole coming in. They knew that they locked down the Medusa just the amount they needed to. The paralyzing cask of all abilities. They look at it go, bouncing back and forth between the Bristle and the Dusa. They get the black hole, they get the kills, and it's a dieback for the king pin of Goomba's chess lineup. This is just incredible. SFZ, do it again.
Yeah, man, there was a Reddit thread, I think it's still there, like, what is your fantasy TI5 Grand Finals? And one of my favorite answers was, scary faces versus any team on Grand Final. And I won it. That is now straight to the top of my list. I want to see these guys. Like, if these guys were at TI Grand Finals, you just know it'd be the clowniest, most epic, stupid games you'd ever imagine. And, well, they deliver once more. Guys, we're going to a game 2. Stick around. Scary Faces vs. Goomba. Best of 3. We're not done. That was just game 1. I'm GoDz. Joining me as Blaze. Stick around.